Good morning. Good morning, all. No, this isn't Howard. I know it's difficult to tell the difference, but you've got me today. Howard is out on a client site, busy working with them on their purpose and vision. And today I have with me Paul and Dave. So we are obviously the best of the rest. So today we're going to talk about getting people behind your purpose and vision and what's in it for you with that. So I'm going to take our experts through some questions to get them discussing purpose and vision and how to get your people behind it. And obviously we'd love you to join in with the conversation. So if you've got any comments on what we're saying or any great examples you'd like to share from what you've done in your business, or if you've got questions that you'd like us to answer, then please feel free to pop them in the chat box and I'll draw on those questions as we go along. Now, I know Howard always starts with some fantastic statistics. I don't. So
that's a relief. Yay!
So I'm going to leap in with our first question. So how do leaders ensure that their recruitment strategies align with their overarching purpose and vision for their organization?
Well, there's a question. I mean, look, I think you know, in this day and age, particularly, when we think about vision for a business, obviously the knee-jerk reaction for any recruitment leader or owner is talk about building a sustainable business, building, developing profits, growing the number of people working in the organization. And with all due respect, all the obvious points that anybody in a business wants to achieve, you know, making a good quality business and escalating profits. But I think in this day and age, you've got to look beyond that. And people expect, and when I talk about people, I'm talking candidates and employers, clients, expect so much more from recruitment businesses and recruitment business owners now. And we've talked a lot about this year, how you have to align your vision not only with the development of your business, but with what your clients are seeking. And a lot of that also links to your attitudes towards areas around DE&I and sustainability and the ecology and so forth. Then you can no longer ignore those things. So an overarching vision for the business really has to be, I think, quite finely developed. It's in layers. Yes, it's about growing your company and developing your business, but it's actually got to be more meaningful. And I think that's very, very important for the people working for your company, where you demonstrate your commitment to other areas around just, as it were, providing recruitment services. You'll find you're a more attractive proposition to employees as well, who will stick with your business and be with you on the journey.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it, Paul? Because you hit on the key thing there. It's not just employees; it's clients, it's candidates. And the thing is, in today's market, where it is so difficult to source talent, both for our own businesses and for our clients' businesses, because there's a talent shortage, but people want to believe in something. They want to believe in someone, they want to believe in something. And the key differentiator that as a recruitment leader, as an owner of a recruitment business you have, that is nobody else will have, is your purpose. You can't have the same purpose as every other recruitment company. There'll be something in your background. There'll be something in the reason why you set up the business. There'll be something that will define why you do what you do. And that purpose is a differentiator. And as long as everybody in your business understands why you do the things the way you do and what that bigger picture is, then the strategies that you have for your recruitment company should be aligned to that. So Heather, you asked the question of how do you ensure that's the case? We'll just go back to the basics. Go back to, why am I doing this? Who am I doing it for? How do I communicate that? What is my purpose? And then make sure that the different things that you do in your day-to-day, month-to-month, week-to-week running of your business, that they're aligned to that core purpose. Because that's the fundamental bit that you've got, that fundamental DNA running through your business that nobody else has.
And I think in a nutshell, what you're both saying is that purpose and vision can't be something that's just written on the wall. You have to live and breathe it. It has to really mean something. And because then it naturally becomes part of your recruitment strategy, but it can't just be a token gesture.
No, it's not just for Christmas. You've got to eat, breathe it every single day of the year.
And it so that it means something and it becomes tangible, and people can feel it when they interact with you as an organization, either as a client or as a candidate or as an employee. So in your relationships, either in your careers in recruitment in the past or in your current relationships with your recruitment clients now, what practical steps have you either taken or seen taken to cultivate a sense of purpose amongst team members? And where you've created that sense of purpose in the team, how does it positively impact their engagement and performance?
Okay, well, I mean, I could talk endlessly about what my clients are doing, who have really, each of them have their own individual views about what they want from their business and how they want to be perceived by clients and candidates. I'm going to sort of hark back, I think, to my earlier days of running a very large organization, Office Angels, Adecco, back in the day, and winning a lot of the awards that are around at that time, Sunday Times Best Companies to Work For award. And the reason I mention that, not for the first time, I know you'll recognize this point, but the reason I mention it is, before you say anything, Heather, is that I'm proud of it because it was how my colleagues felt about the business. It wasn't a vote from a panel of judges looking into the company. It was a vote based upon what the people inside the company felt about the vision and the purpose of the organization and how aligned they felt with it. And how did we achieve that? And I guess it comes down to something fundamental, something we should all be really great at, and that is communication. We were constantly talking about why we were in business, what we felt we needed to do to serve our clients and candidates. It was a great deal to do with making sure that we outperformed our competitors at the level of service that we provided to people in practical terms, let alone in sort of fairly vague terms, was something that they couldn't get easily anywhere else. It wasn't just about providing what the clients and candidates wanted. It was all about wanting to thrill clients and candidates, get them to talk about us around the dinner table, service we provided, the fact that we went the extra mile, that we cared a lot. And I think that was something that we, it's hard to express it really, but in every conversation and in everything we did, and in the training that we provided, not only when people arrived, but also throughout their careers, through every message I sent out via email or verbally at conferences, annually, regionally, and on a monthly directors meetings, we talked about how do we provide better service to our clients and candidates, and importantly, how do we support the people in our business? How do we make the job easier for them so that they will walk through walls on behalf of the organization? And that isn't, by the way, about how much you pay them. That isn't about that. It's about the belief system, how much they believe in what you're doing as an organization. And as we've heard many times, if people believe in what you believe in, they're prepared to do what you ask of them. If you fail to do that, you fail to communicate effectively, not once a year or once a month, but every single day with every passing breath, then you cannot get the culture that you need in order to be gaining distance between what you provide as an organization and what your competitors are achieving.
And there has to be an authenticity to it, doesn't there, Paul? Because you can't say you believe in one thing and behave in a different way. No. Or actually, it's worse than having no purpose at all, or no vision at all. Sorry, Dave, you were about to say something there.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with all of that because we know that it works. And sometimes, I don't know whether you two find this, but people get a little bit sniffy about awards. And I think they are a fabulous way of presenting the way that you do things and why you do them. I think the best marketing strategy any company can have is to talk about and enter into awards. I'm working with one company at the moment, and they've appointed a marketing company, and their entire effort is going to be spent on entering awards, because in doing that, and that goes to the question you asked, Heather, about practical steps, you have to know that your people know what your purpose is, what your vision is, how they are treated, what the culture is like. So, because that will come through in any award submission, and any other external person reading it will go, actually, these people know what they're talking about.
Yeah, it's that external validation, isn't it, of what you say you do.
And awards do mean something.
Yeah, it absolutely means something, and it adds to that sense of when you go onto a site and you see that other people have said great things about that company, or great things about an individual that works for that company. You get that feeling of, hey, these people care for one another, or they care for their clients, or they care for their they care for their employees or their candidates. And you can see it and you can feel it, and that's that sense of purpose, which really matters. So,
and having judged 2 sets of awards this year, I can really tell people how much work is involved, how hard the judges. Well, first of all, how hard the entrants work on their entry submissions. They're really astonishing, the amount of evidence that people provide. They're inspiring to read, but also how hard the judges work to make sure they're making a good decision, and that they're being fair, and that the winners genuinely represent the things they say they represent.
Absolutely. I mean, and on a serious note, I mean, it also reflects on how we feel about our clients. We've just had 2 of our clients win national awards. We had the best startup award winner at the REC Awards a couple of weeks ago, and we had the best engineering recruitment business in the UK award from Recruiter magazine. 2 of our companies just recently won those 2 awards. And just the point about being sniffy, Dave, I mean, can I just tell you, look, I don't know, it's a bit, this was the Huntsman Player of the Year, 1982-83, mate, and I'm telling you, that holds a special place in my heart. That's all it means a lot.
Are you looking for it, Paul? Are you looking behind you to see as well?
You having a look, to see what other awards he's got. He can show us. The other thing that I would just add to all of those things, I totally agree with what you're saying, is that piece about engagement and performance. This is so important for retention as well. If the only reason that people work for you is because they can earn good money and they get a good commission and good bonus, well, they can get that in other places too. That's so easy for other people to replicate. They have to work for you for another reason. And the fact that they believe in what you're doing, and they're recognized for what they do, it just nudges people to perform that extra 15%. That belief in what you're doing is so much more powerful than, obviously, we understand the power of bonuses and commission, and they're really, really, I'm not dismissing that at all. They're really important in our industry, but there's just something about purpose and vision that nudges people to really keep going when things are tough.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I mean, it applies to us as well. I mean, as people who have managed businesses over the years, it's the same for us. Getting up every day and going to work is no different for leaders and owners than it is for the people that work alongside them. You have to have, as you said, an authentic belief. And if it's a fairly myopic one set strategy, which is let's just make as much money as we can, that isn't going to do it. It really isn't going to do it. And it's transparent to your clients, to your employees, to the candidates, and it transfers into your attitude towards them. You have to, as you said rightly, there has to be a level of authenticity, and you can't, as they say, as the joke goes, you can't fake authenticity. You have to truly believe it. You really do. And I think that everyone will have their own views of vision and purpose, but all of the successful businesses I've worked for and directed and with over the years, including now, have all got a very strong sense of why they do what they do and why they get up every morning.
Yeah. So that very much focuses on the benefits for your employees in terms of engagement and performance. So just thinking about client partnerships for a moment, can you share an example of a successful client partnership that was built on a shared sense of purpose and vision? And how did that then contribute to the success of that client partnership?
When you say, sorry, Heather, can I just clarify? When you say client, are you talking about our clients or our
No, I'm talking about
clients?
Recruitment businesses' relationships with their clients.
Yeah.
So how do we use purpose and vision to work more effectively with our clients?
Well, I mean, I've got a client presently that's worked very hard at gaining B Corp accreditation. In fact, they were the Startup of the Year award winner. And this is very strongly linked to the owner's view about what he wants from his business and how important it is for him to be working alongside organizations that share the same attitudes and values. He didn't do it from the premise of, if I get B Corp accreditation, that will generate more revenue, although that is a very pleasant side effect. It's been done because he genuinely wants to work alongside organizations that have the same attitude to the world around him as he has. And has it helped him? I think it's helped a great deal. It's managed to get him into a number of well-known organizations, onto their PSLs, working closely alongside those businesses.
Oh, I think we've briefly lost Paul. Dave, do you want to cut in until Paul comes back?
Yeah, he's just frozen, hasn't he?
Oh, you froze briefly, Paul.
Did I? I think I've got a problem with my internet. I saw that happen a moment ago. Apologies. I think it's contributed a great deal towards his business development, and it's working very well. But as we've been saying, he's got this based upon his beliefs, and B Corp accreditation isn't an easy thing to attain. It requires a tremendous amount of hard work to gain it. Sorry about the internet, by the way.
No problem.
Yeah. And that's a good example, isn't it? And I've got a client at the moment that's in tech staffing, so it's difficult to differentiate yourself when there are many IT recruitment companies. And the way that they differentiate themselves was they were pitching for two pieces of business, and they went to the client and looked at what the client's sense of purpose was about, and they built their bid, their presentation, around the purpose of the client, and showed how, by working with that particular agency, that would help their client with their purpose. So it was a completely different approach to saying we've got access to the best Golang or Ruby on Rails skills, because everybody was kind of saying the same thing. And the client was really impressed that they'd taken the time to not only talk about their own purpose, the company's own purpose, but also the fact that we want to deal with purpose-led companies. And you, to the client, are a purpose-led company, and this is why we want to work with you. And they won the bid, or they got on to be a supplier, and then it's down to their performance. You know, if you can't perform, it doesn't matter how good your purpose is. If you're no good at doing recruitment, you're not going to do very well. So fortunately, they're good at doing recruitment. They found the people, but they've really got a nice partnership going now, so much so that they're having longer term workforce planning conversations, looking ahead to 2024 and saying, right, what else are you going to need us? What else can we do? So that's a tip if anybody is out there thinking about bidding for business in the next 6 to 8 weeks as we head into the new year. Look at what your client says about itself.
Yeah, nice tip. Nice tip. So things are changing all the time. You know, we've had a period of real change. We've got more change in, you know, the world is changing. So in an ever-changing landscape, how do you adapt your purpose-driven approach then to overcome challenges and stay ahead of industry trends?
We have to get back to old habits. One of the problems, I think, that we see with recruitment companies is that it's terribly easy now to just spend time working from home or working in the office, never leaving your desk, simply sitting behind computers and communicating with candidates and clients from afar. Now, obviously, we have to do that to an extent, but if you are failing to get in front of clients every week in multiples, I would add, then you really have no true understanding of what they want from you and what the opportunities are for you. There is limited chance of upselling or cross-selling, and almost no chance of understanding the organization's cultural perspectives and what they're seeking from their partners, let alone understanding their business plans going forward and how that may impact you both positively and negatively. We have to be close, super tight to clients. And I think you could argue maybe, although I would have argued against this, 5 years, 10 years ago, you could have said, look, it's not that important to be in front of clients that regularly. Everything's stable. We're working well. The economy's doing great. There's limited change occurring. But as you've just pointed out, look at the change going on. I mean,
those halcyon days.
oh, for those days. Rotodexes, bring them back. I think now, because we know that, we talk to clients and they want to talk about, 3-year plans. And of course we do that. But, actually what's much more relevant is a 3-month plan because of the change ratio. Look, things are occurring so quickly. So if you fail to be in front of your clients literally regularly, and God knows I say this every day of the week, make sure that you never go longer than 3 months maximum between client meetings. Before you leave the client, arrange the next meeting. Don't leave the building until you've done that. If you fail to do that, you have no understanding of what's going on. And then, as I said, no understanding of what they want from you. And, we've been saying it's not just people. They don't just want candidates from you. They want to know so much more about the market that they're in and the information that you can provide to them. And they want a proper partnership. In many, many instances, at very least, they need a relationship with you, which can't be achieved if you're sitting in a situation where you don't leave the office. And I'm afraid to say that I think we have in our industry now an awful lot of people who rarely venture out of their front door. And that bothers me immensely because it is actually the most enjoyable and stimulating thing any recruitment professional can do. Be in front of clients and, should I add, candidates all the time. And I just, it drives me nuts that we seem to have this sort of librarian attitude. I don't think that's a religion. I think that's to do with working in a place that provides books, by the way.
And some of that comes from fear. Paul, I remember going to my very first client meeting. It's absolutely terrifying the first time you do it. But it's absolutely true that with the right support and the right training, it can be the most enjoyable part of your job. There's nothing better than listening to your clients. And the only way to stay ahead of industry trends is to know what your industry trends are. Yeah. And you're only going to know that if you're talking to your clients and your candidates and you're meeting them face to face.
So when you recruit people for your business, please make sure that they have the ability, the personality, the desire to go and meet people, to go out. I appreciate, you're right, Heather, you have to train and coach people. But I can give you plenty of examples of lots of organizations that provide great coaching and training, and still people will not leave the premises. You have to then question, what kind of people are you recruiting? You've got to get people that like communicating, enjoy communicating, want to influence the thinking of people around them. And you can't do that effectively unless you're in front of people.
And I think in the changing world of recruitment's changing fast. The world of work is changing fast. We know that. Don't change your purpose. If your purpose is about what you're about, just promote it. Promote it more widely among your staff. They should know it anyway, but promote it among your clients and the candidates you engage with. We work the way we work because this is what we believe. A little bit like Paul, you were saying earlier about B Corp. We're a B Corp company because whoever the owner of that business is passionately believes that that's really important. Well, promote that. Because in a world that's ever changing, it's nice to find some companies that are constantly doing things the way they believe that is the way they should do it because of their purpose. Because not everybody wants change. What they want to hear is, actually, you understand that change is happening, but your purpose is rock solid. And you can help us navigate change because you're really strong on what you believe in. And that's the thing I think you should be promoting.
So how do we know then if we're getting this right? What sort of key performance indicators or metrics would you recommend using to measure the impact of purpose and vision internally with your team and also externally with your clients?
I think it comes down to engagement with clients, and I think it comes down to, if you're an owner of a business or a director of a business, making sure that you personally are consistently talking to your clients. Now, you can do that in a manner and a range of different ways. We'll come back to the point about KPIs in just a second, but I think it's definitely around surveys, embedded processes around surveys, making sure we're getting feedback from clients. in a range of different ways. There's a whole range of touch points that you can use to achieve that. It's absolutely about getting out, sitting down in front of clients, asking key questions about our service delivery, how we improve, what we're doing well, what we need to improve upon, what our competitors are doing better than us, how do we combat that, what else we can provide to people that they don't get elsewhere, and then making sure that that information is circulated within the business, that we discuss those things. We go from good to brilliant in the areas we're doing well, and we work very hard to improve in the areas where we're falling behind. And that's not an annual thing. This is done on a weekly basis. Cumulatively, you'll put the information together, maybe monthly or quarterly, but this is a daily activity, a weekly activity. And this is right back to the point that we were making earlier about the purpose and vision. You know, if you truly care about the service levels you provide, and you truly care about providing a supportive service to candidates and clients, and not just in words or on something that sits on the wall in your office, then doing what I'm suggesting, being in front of clients, talking to them regularly, looking at how you garner information and circulate that, use that info, improve and develop our business offerings and service offerings. If you truly care about it, it's not a chore. It's something you'd enjoy doing. It's something that you're inviting. And, you know, we sometimes say that actually bad reviews are more valuable than good reviews. Now, nobody wants a bad review, but ignoring the prospect of a bad review because you don't want to hear about it isn't going to help you. You need to know what's going on.
A complaint is a gift.
Yes,
it is. I love that.
I'm good at complaining too, so as a customer. So,
but if you care enough about the organisation to take the trouble to complain, it's a gift, right? Somebody cares. Rather than walking away and using your competitor, they care enough to tell you what you could do better.
I agree. And I mean, you know, as we've said, we work in a very ever-changing situation. I think the other thing about the KPIs is that, you know, Dave mentioned, you know, finance, bonuses and so forth. Again, if it's integral to your business and you have a purpose and vision and you're truly interested in achieving whatever you set out to achieve, then that should be embedded in the financial rewards of the people that work for you. At the moment, most recruitment consultants get paid purely on financial results. I understand that. It's been like that for 50 years since I've worked in the industry. But if, for example, great company feedback, great client feedback was part.
Oh,
I think we've lost him again.
It may have stopped for a moment. He's back.
Oh, he's back.
Oh dear me, this is not going well.
Dave, what have you got to add?
Well, the biggest one for me on that in terms of KPI is staff retention. That's the biggest KPI I think I look at. How well are you at keeping your staff? It doesn't matter whether they're clients and we're providing staff to them. Yeah, because obviously if their staff retention is low, that can be quite good for recruitment companies because we've got to find them more people. Yeah, but for our own staff, that for me is the biggest thing that talks about purpose and culture. And if an owner can articulate to me why they have retained or lost their staff, 9 times out of 10, in my experience, it comes down to a lack of purpose, a lack of vision, and that can be articulated in many ways in communication, in all sorts of things. But it actually comes down to that point. They've left because they weren't happy with what was going on. So, if
does that apply to client retention as well? Can you use a similar thinking around client retention, Dave?
I think you can, because often, Heather, you don't know. If you're not, to Paul's point about relationship and your point about relationship, how do you know that your things are going well if you're not in relationship with one another? Yeah, there's that argument, is it, where somebody outside says it's raining and somebody else says it's sunny. Yeah, well, your job is not to take one of those sides. Your job's to open the window and find out. Yeah, so go and find out. If somebody's saying this is happening in recruitment and somebody's saying that's happening in recruitment, well, go and find out. Go and talk to your clients. Well, how is that for you? That builds relationship. And I think if you've got a better relationship, for the most part, you're more likely to keep those clients.
Okay, lovely. So how do you then integrate your purpose and vision in your recruitment business into your organization's culture? And I think we've touched on this before, but what role does that play in attracting and retaining top talent?
Okay, I lost you there for a second, but I think I know the question. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
We can hear you, Paul, very clearly.
I don't know what's going on here. Okay, so how can you integrate the agency's purpose and vision into an organizational culture? And what role does it play in attracting top talent? I think it's integral to making sure that people want to work for you and stay with you. Let's be fair. I mean, and it applies to our industry now. Our candidates have got plenty of choices. There's plenty of jobs available for candidates. I mean, I know we've had a challenging 15 months, but look at the amount of vacancies that are still out there. And it's been tougher for sure than last year, but there's still plenty of jobs, and that will increase next year, as we heard Neil Carberry talking about last week. This applies to our own people. You can never be complacent even about your longer serving members of the team. What do we do to make sure that they want to carry on working for the business? Because they have choices. And if we don't make our environment a compelling place to work, not just for the money, but for the purpose, then you run a very strong risk that somebody else with a more attractive offering, particularly around modern attitudes to the workplace, work from home, for example, and indeed visions and purpose, are going to take your people. They can earn the same money elsewhere, quite likely, or even more potentially. So it's so important to embed inside the business very clear vision and purpose, and make sure that everybody buys into it. And it's not something you do once every 3 or 5 years. It is something you review on a constant basis, and that gets changed dependent, as Dave was saying, upon what clients want. And how do you know what clients want? As Dave's just said correctly, go and speak to them. Go find out. Be clear, very clear about what it is they want. And if they're asking you for things that are difficult to provide, too bad. We have to figure it out. We have to go and find out. How do we react to it? Great businesses don't happen accidentally. They happen through an awful lot of hard work. Nothing comes easy. And the moment you think you've arrived and everything's going swimmingly well, things have a nasty habit of turning in the opposite direction. So you really do need to be constantly talking to people. And if they set you tough challenges, okay, we go away, we figure it out. We go and find out how we're going to react to that, how we're going to provide the solutions that our clients are seeking.
And one of the key things to this, I think, is your middle managers. So those people in the middle of your organization, because as owners and leaders of organizations, we often have a very clear understanding of purpose and vision, and we will talk about it. But if we're not educating and empowering our managers to do that and to have that conversation, for all we know, they're just talking about call stats or commission budgets, and they need to be talking to they need to be talking to consultants about purpose and vision and clients and relationships, and being a consultant, not just a resourcer, and providing that information, so that conversation's happening right the way across the organization, in a practical day-to-day. And that's what makes it authentic. Because it's not just something the CEO or the owner talks about, it's across the whole organization.
One of the things, sorry, Dave, you first.
I was just saying, remember that rather frightening stat that we learned earlier on when we attended the LinkedIn day, that people under 25 will have 15 different jobs and 5 different careers. Because as recruiters, we assume that when we hire somebody, they're going to stay with us forever, or they're going to stay in recruitment forever. If you understand the motivation for why somebody's working with you, even if it is only for a few years, your purpose and your culture will be much, much stronger. And you can gain and lose people, but that's okay because you understand that. If you're going to take on a 23-year-old, and if we're going to scale our companies, most people are looking for younger people to train and do that, except that at some point they're going to leave. So do you understand what's keeping them there and for how long they're going to be there? And then work in that. And then you could always be hiring and looking and training people, and they'll come back to you.
And I had a fascinating experience on that, working with a startup business, actually not in recruitment, where we decided that a given for the organization was that we wanted to hire really smart people who were on a journey in their career, and that we knew we were one stopping off point for them.
Yeah.
And so we then had this really fantastic board level debate about, well, what does that mean then about our people strategy? And how is it going to be different if we, from the very beginning, only know that they might work with us for a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years? How do we give them the skills they need to move on, but also giving us the performance that we need and the value for money while they're with us? And it was such an interesting debate about what it changed about people strategy when you had everybody thinking about people differently.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. It was about the point I was about to make. We're talking about talking to clients, but some of the most valuable information that you can glean comes directly from the people working for you. What do they want? Or how do they see the vision of the business? How do we need to adapt? What do we need to change? What are they hearing from clients and candidates? The information is often just around us. We just need to be leaning in and asking the right questions. I think just before anyone says anything, it doesn't mean that everything that's suggested to us is enthusiastically embraced. We'd certainly enthusiastically seek information, seek comments and ideas. Absolutely, no idea is a bad idea. We're not necessarily going to do everything that's suggested. You can't. But being aware of what people feel and obviously embracing the ideas that really work for the business often comes directly from the people that actually work around you. A lot of businesses will go and spend money with external suppliers who will gladly give you a million ideas. But actually, a lot of the great ideas come directly from the people that work for you already. All you have to do is be asking the questions. I was doing that years ago on so-called road shows. Some of the best ideas we had for marketing, for example, at Office Angels came directly from the people working in our offices, not from the fancy marketing and PR companies we were engaging. So, ask people, listen carefully, and be prepared to be challenged. Be prepared to find some of the ideas deeply uncomfortable, because you can't improve unless you do things that are uncomfortable. Doing comfortable things won't get you very far at all. You have to feel challenged and stretched, and sometimes pushed way beyond your comfort zone in order to push the business forward.
Into the last question, Paul.
There you go.
If it would be almost as if we'd set this up. So reflecting on your journey, reflecting on both of you, what are some of the valuable lessons you've learned about effectively communicating and evolving with the agencies you've managed or mentored, particularly with reference to purpose and vision?
I think, as you just said, I was kind of talking about that. I absolutely feel it's about opening your mind and your ears. The old cliche about one of these, two of these. There's no point, no matter how experienced you are, no matter how long you've been in business, where you can genuinely think, right, I've arrived, I know exactly what I'm doing, and there's nothing more anyone can teach me. And especially in this current climate, I think it's quite the opposite. I think the older and more experienced you get, the more you recognize how little you know about so many big subjects. You may be an expert in a very small subject, but there's a world of information and knowledge out there that you know very little about. And I think it's entirely about being open-minded and actually keen to continue to learn, to be educated. Yeah. And as I was just saying, that education is sitting around you. It's in the minds and coming out the mouths of the clients that work with you, the candidates that seek your assistance, and the people that you work alongside every day of the week. Yes, you can get an awful lot of information, and we all do, from the internet and from LinkedIn and the posts and the blogs, the articles we read, and the media we listen to and watch, of course, and it's important that we do that. But actually, most of the information is sitting there, literally under our noses. All we have to do is ask for it and listen very carefully and consider how we can use that to help evolve our business and make it
without
suitable.
Losing sight that the external is also important, because I'm certainly dealing with one CEO that I'm mentoring at the moment who has spent so much time on the inside his business, listening to the people inside his business, that actually what I'm working with him on is turning himself externally and actually going out there and talking to people outside his organization. So it's still about listening.
Yes.
It's still about the one of these, two of those, but it's in an external effect. And we can sometimes become so tied up in what's going on inside our business that we lose track of the whole world outside, and that constant need to stay in touch. And I think that's your point about clients, actually, because that's part of it. But there are lots of other, we've never had more information available to us, and sometimes that can be overwhelming.
It's true, but it's, this is, when you look at, I'm looking around me because there's various books around me, but when you look at the sort of classic effective executive books, and there are any number of examples, they all say similar things. And one of the things they say, and you've just said it, Heather, is try and spend 70% of your time externally rather than 70% of your time internally. And when you look at the majority of people that run businesses, not just in our industry, but in any industry, they spend 70% of the time internally gazing, which, is not going to help you grow your business. It will help you deal with the minutiae on a daily basis.
Ideas are going to come from, right?
No, it won't. It won't help you.
Where your light bulb moments are going to come from.
No. It's funny because every time you speak to clients my clients will do this. If I speak to my clients who've been on client meetings or been out on expos or conferences or seminars, they always, without exception, come back and go, oh, I had a great time. This was a terrific meeting, or I really enjoyed going out and meeting my clients. The seminar was wonderful. The conference was interesting to speak. They're enthusiastic about it. And I always think, go and do it more, because it stimulates you.
Also, even if the speakers are rubbish, it gives you space to think away from your business, right? Yes. And you need that space sometimes to think. Dave, your thoughts?
I think the thing that I've learned most from a leadership point of view is make yourself vulnerable. Because with that comes integrity, with that comes honesty, and that is, I think, what people want to see. Yeah. Because nobody's got everything sorted in their lives personally or in their business lives. And I think if you're a leader and you can show that vulnerability, that isn't the sign of weakness for me, that's a sign of strength. And I think if I've learned anything in terms of linking that to purpose, it shows what you as a person are about. And if you're leading your business, hopefully that reflects what your business is about as well. And with that comes an authenticity. You used that word earlier, Heather. There comes an authenticity of, actually, these people are real. They get it. So things are changing, but they get it. They can help me along the way. And that doesn't matter whether you're a candidate applying for a job through that company, whether you're an employee hoping to build a career, even if it is only for a few years with that company, or whether you're a client and they must look at you and see that you're real. And if they see that, then I think they will look at your company and its purpose, and they're more likely to do business with you.
Well, on that note, on that very erudite note, Dave, Paul, thank you very much.
That's a good word.
I've really enjoyed this. I've really enjoyed this session. From purpose and vision.
It's because Howard wasn't here. That's why.
Well, yeah, and I'm not getting pounced on with the first question. I get to do that. But purpose and vision is all about people strategy. It's all about the people. It's all about it's so important for your business, and it's great to be able to spend 45 minutes, really mulling over something as important as purpose and vision. And I hope that everybody listening has found that useful to mull over and refresh what your thinking is about your purpose and vision and its absolute value in building great relationships with your teams and winning more business with your clients. So thank you very much, all of you, for joining us today. Very much enjoyed having you all here. Next week's our little Christmas special, if you want to join us and put your Christmas hats on. And we'll just be having a little bit of a review of what 2023 has been like and what 2024 will.
Christmas jumpers are obligatory.
And yes, obligatory. I will dig out my my light up Christmas jumper. I think I will find. So lovely. Thank you very much, all. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much, Heather. Thanks. Bye, everybody. Take care.
Bye.